It's May 15th, and I'm here to bring you the Wright County real estate market update. I also want to revisit the conversation of the Real Estate Commission lawsuit in just a brief and quick way, just to clear up any misnomers. I have done a video about this very recently, but because it is still a conversation that there's a lot of confusion about, I didn't think it would hurt to touch on it one more time. I'm Erica Carlson with a boutique brokerage called Bricks Real Estate. I help people buy and sell real estate, of course, all over our Twin Cities areas, and I specialize in the Western Metro. If you learn anything new today, I'd love for you to join my growing communities, whether this is on YouTube, Facebook group, or Instagram. I'm uploading all over these places, and I'd love for you to join me. If you have questions, if you're ready to take the next step and you just want to do a quick discovery call, you can reach out to me at the link provided in the paragraph. And then you choose that first option to set up a call time that's best for you. So before we dig into that market update, and I'll keep that pretty brief this week because the changes aren't huge. Let's just briefly talk about these real estate commissions. There's so much misunderstanding. And the first big change, and I don't think it's a big change for consumers, but for real estate agents it is. They are removing on the MLS particularly, they are no longer allowed to advertise what a buyer's agent is going to make in terms of his or her commission. So there is no automatic, like, this is the amount that this person makes. And that couples with the second piece of information that does impact you quite a bit, which is going forward. And I should add the caveat, this has not been approved yet. This is an important point. It's not fully solidified, but this is what they're saying is going to happen, is going forward in July, August, those, whenever it's official, is that you have to have a written agreement with the real estate agent before they can show you a house. You are going to want to make sure that you understand, of course, what the agreement is and what they're willing to do, what services they provide. And here's what's key. It's the full transparency of what he or she is charging for those services. Now, the seller could still pay that fee, whether it is a set amount, like a flat fee, a percentage, maybe like you've heard retainers with lawyers. There's different ways that this could be presented to you as the consumer. But that conversation is going to now happen up front. I think you can agree that this will hopefully be a positive because, again, it's transparency, and we think transparency is always a positive thing. As you know, as you're purchasing a house, you need to know all your fees and consideration up front. This does not mean this is the end of days for cooperation between a listing and a buyer's agent. It just might look a little bit differently than it did the last time you purchased a house. Again, there could be some creativity, and maybe every agent is going to do this a little bit differently. So you may really want to give some consideration to who your buyer's agent is. Things up. If you have more questions, I don't think I'm any sort of lawyer or any sort of guru on this sort of commission lawsuit conversation, but I certainly have been keeping up to date and will certainly try to answer any questions. Otherwise, of course, just reach out to your preferred or favorite realtor and have them fill you in on how things might be changing. Seeing how we are doing in terms of the sellers versus buyers market. Are we in the middle? And we've come down a little bit because we were closer to 7 and now we're at 6.59. Which is, pushing us more towards that middle part, not an extreme seller's market that you might remember from the pandemic period. Interest rates have come down. We're actually touching the 6. So I know on my screen, this is actually from 2 days ago. So it's just a little bit outdated. Our interest rates have come down a hair. And of course, this is just a general 30-year base rate, no particular lender. Just around, and I could give you better numbers, but it's not good for me to say this as a real estate agent because everybody's different. There's too many variables. So call your favorite local lender to get more accurate information, whether you want to buy points or not. So, sorry for jumping around, but we finally are in the high 6s. So let's see where that trends. Inventory is up almost 15% over last year. So there's more to choose from, which is great for our buyers, not as good for our sellers, of course. But again, it's still more of a seller's market, so they're not hurting either. And 21 days is about average in the Twin Cities at large. Even when I, dive into individual market areas, like let's say just townhouses in Brooklyn Park, or, I work out a lot in the Wright County area because it's where I live. Those numbers are still about the same. So that's about how long it's taking people to sell, again, on average. It's interesting. Our inventory is coming down at 489. And so it has been kind of hopping around as we look back here for the last few weeks. Just kind of surprised to see it down over last week. However, pendings are up over last week, and that's what's been trending is it's slowly going up, and closings are slowly going up. This all makes complete sense. It's May 15th. We know a lot of people that went under contract now would have been April, maybe March, depending on their situation. So we are expecting those closings to stay high. I do love looking at our showings per week per listing, and we're only looking at the 250 to 500K range. And when we're just looking at Wright County, they're at 2.2, and that's down quite a bit over the last couple weeks. In fact, we haven't seen anything this low in a very long time. I almost have to go back to February 7th to see our buyer activity this low. And you can see that wasn't consistent because then the week before is 3.2. So it could be just a little bit of a blip. It's hard to believe that's going to stay steady because that looks like it's more like our December or January buyer activity. So going back to May, it's a little surprising to see that. Maybe that's reflective of like what's actually out there because, with interest rates getting a little bit better, I would predict that is going to go up as real estate agents and lenders reach out to their buyer pool and say, hey, you can buy a little bit more house because interest rates are coming down. It'll be interesting to see if that pops up or if this was just a fluke of a week. It's hard to tell. 6.2 is in Hennepin, which again is a little slower than last week, but we see it's not as dramatic in Hennepin County, which makes sense that this would kind of, rise and fall gently, but not, I know one is like, doesn't seem that significant, but I'm just comparing it to Hennepin. So for those of you that are new here, when I say 2.2 and 6.2, obviously you can't have 6.2 showings. That's not what I mean. These are averages and it's an entire county. So what I'm saying is if I'm selling a house in Hennepin County, I'm expecting about 6 showings a week. And in Wright, it's about 2 to 3. And so if it's even slower than that, you don't have to necessarily be nervous about it because you can see our numbers are just a lot lower in Wright compared to Hennepin. And, that's just something you talk to your real estate agent about if you don't feel like the showing activity is appropriate and like what you might need to do about that, whether it's a price improvement of some sort or maybe some fix around the property that might make it more appealing to more buyers. When we look at days on market, I just shared this in the previous screen. 13 is the median, 26 is average. For those of you that haven't heard me say this before, I only look at pending data. I don't look at closed sales for this. And what is offered to us as real estate agents is typically 1 to 2 months late. I am looking at the last 7 days, what's actually going under contract. This is the data. So this is what I would predict for you. In a general sense in Wright County, that it could take about a month to sell, maybe a lot faster than that. But should you anticipate it to sell the first weekend? No, not necessarily. That may be a little unfair to yourself to put that kind of expectation on it. Maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that should be kind of your expectation if you were going to sell right now. And of course, as we get past Memorial Day, if I were to predict based on past data, I would expect that time to rise because generally Minnesotans love their summers and don't think about real estate as much. If we continue to see interest rates come down, then I can very much tell you if you've been on the fence about selling, then you didn't, you didn't miss out, because as interest rates come down, demand will go there. And as demand goes there, prices go up, right? Then we go into multiples. So buyers, reverse what I'm saying. If interest rates come down, yay for you, means more competition. It means house prices go up. So are you really winning by waiting and getting a better rate? Yes, no, it depends on how you're looking at it. I'm never going to tell you to buy just to buy because it's in my best interest. I want what's yours. So there's too many factors in here to assume exactly where things will go. And I, certainly don't know the future, but I hope this information was helpful. Again, I hope you found something valuable and helpful, whether you're thinking about buying or selling. I'm always here for you. If you think of anything, you can reach me at iheartmplshomes.com. And if you're looking for a fantastic local loan officer who works and lives in the Hanover area, reach out to Molly Zimmerman with Bell Mortgage or Bell Bank Mortgage. She is able to reach in the link I provided, or you can go to mollyzimmerman.com. Have a fantastic week.